So, since LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga finally came out a few months ago, I figure I should do a look back at the LEGO Star Wars series. Why am I doing this? Because ever since the trailer for Skywalker Saga got announced back in 2019, I got hyped and excited for it. So to show my excitement, I decided to take a look back at the past LEGO Star Wars games. And this will be a series of reviews, meaning I'll be going through LEGO Star Wars the video game, LEGO Star Wars 2 the original trilogy, LEGO Star Wars the complete saga, LEGO Star Wars 3 the Clone Wars, and LEGO Star Wars the Force Awakens. Let's start off this look back series with LEGO Star Wars the video game and LEGO Star Wars 2 the original trilogy. And I will skip the story because it's the same thing as the movies. Now, on to the gameplay. Let's start off with the lightsaber characters. Whenever you play as a lightsaber character, you have Jedi powers, like to use the Force, you press circle to use the Force whenever you're close to an object, and to activate your lightsaber, you press square to attack your enemies with either your lightsaber or use the Force on your enemies to push them away, or use Jedi mind tricks. You can also do a Jedi slam by pressing jump and square. You can also use the Force to do some puzzles, even though all LEGO Star Wars games do that. Now on to the blaster characters. When you're using a blaster character, you press square to shoot everything, and if you're close to an enemy, you punch them in the face, even though that's not there in the original version, but in the sequel and complete saga. Or if you're playing as Chewbacca, you can pull Stormtroopers' arms out. And the blaster characters are not as good as the lightsaber characters, but they are still fun to play, especially when you play as Han Solo. Because when you don't press the left stick and square together, but only pressing square to shoot, he dodges the blast, and for some reason, other characters can't do that like Han can. Now, on to the droid characters. You only press buttons just to open doors. That's it. And the worst part is that you walk slow, and it's probably the worst thing about the droids. And it's even worse in LEGO Star Wars 2 when if you get shot by Jawas, you will get stuck for a few seconds, and you can't switch. And nope, you have to wait until they get back up again. But they're not the worst characters. Now let's move on to the useless characters that no one cares about. I mean, seriously, characters like Anakin from Phantom Menace and Jar Jar Binks are actually my least favorite characters in this game. Mainly because Jar Jar can't fight for some reason and he can only jump higher. And that's it. And Anakin from Phantom Menace can only go through small hatches and he can jump. And that's it. And he can't fight. And they're just as useless as the droids. Same thing with Chancellor Palpatine. You can only jump and you can't punch. Now on to the vehicle levels. In the Phantom Menace, you do pod racing. In Revenge of the Sith, you ride a spaceship. As for LEGO Star Wars 2, in A New Hope, you ride an X-Wing fighter. In The Empire Strikes Back, you ride the Millennium Falcon. And let's not forget the Hoth battle. In Return of the Jedi, you ride a speeder and once again the Millennium Falcon. Then later in the game, you find mini-kits and red bricks, even though in the game it was called power bricks, and this is before they were called red bricks. Anyway, during the level or during free play, also, red bricks are always the best parts, even though they are sometimes expensive. The reason why they are the best parts is that you can get a lot of studs, fast builds, and there's a lot of red bricks to collect throughout each level. You have to pay with a lot of studs. And speaking of studs, if you get enough studs, you get true Jedi status. If you get them all, you might unlock something. For example, you can unlock a character or extra or red brick. And if you get all true Jedi, then you unlock a bonus level for A New Hope, which basically foreshadowed the second game happening, with it to be continued. And I don't know what happens if you get all true Jedis on the second game, so let's just skip that. And I almost forgot to mention the boss fights. I think they're pretty good. From memorable fights like Darth Maul, Count Dooku, Anakin, Darth Vader, and even Emperor Palpatine. The only bad boss fight I can think of is General Grievous, mainly because he is pathetically easy, and that General Grievous level can take a few minutes to beat. And the fight with Boba Fett is kind of forgettable, but besides that, the boss fights are still pretty good. But I will say that both games are not perfect, mainly because the first game is incredibly dark and there is no brightness option. And there are some glitches. I don't even need to explain the cutting glitch in the original game because I already have a video on that. And I don't have footage for this, but I remember one time I played through the Battle of Endor, the longest level of LEGO Star Wars 2, by the way, where I had to build the bombs for the base, but apparently the LEGO pieces disappeared at the near end of the level, and I had to start all over again. Man, do I hate it when that happens, especially in LEGO games. And there are some levels I don't like Retake Thief Palace was forgettable. Some of the vehicle missions can be annoying at times, especially in that first level of Attack of the Clones that was cut from this game. And trust me, I will get into that. Defense on Kashyyyk and Ruin of the Jedi are also forgettable. And like I mentioned earlier, on LEGO Star Wars 2, the Battle of Endor goes on for like an eternity, mainly because of how long the level is. It's ridiculous. And I can't stand the Dagobah level, mainly because of the stupid bats. And trust me, this level can get frustrating if you're trying to get true Jedi. And at the near end of Dagobah, Luke was supposed to use the Force on its X-Wing, but it doesn't work. But turns out, you have to switch to Yoda to do that. It's ridiculous. How is a player supposed to know how to do that? Oh yeah, another thing I forgot to mention is how both games have different hub worlds. The first game has Dexter's Diner from Attack of the Clones, and the second game has Mos Eisley from A New Hope. But overall, I still think both LEGO Star Wars games are great games to play. I give LEGO Star Wars the video game a 7.5 out of 10, and I give LEGO Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, a 7.0 out of 10. Mainly because, if I'm being honest, I prefer the lightsaber characters more than the blaster characters. And the first game has more of that compared to the second game. Anyway, that's it for my review, and I'll see you in the next review, as I'll be mentioning LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga and LEGO Star Wars 3, The Clone Wars.